Hello, my name is Tom Russell-Mezonge and I'm the Content Manager at PET. Today I'm joined by Liz Ashall-Payne, who's the Chief Executive at ORCHA. I'll be interviewing Liz about a range of topics, but starting with the use of apps in the NHS, evidence-based evaluation and what does good look like, and I'd like to remind you to check out the ORCHA App Zone, which will be at PET. Thank you very much for joining me, Liz, and I look forward to the interview.
Thanks, Tom. So we currently have access to 365,000 health apps. And the question is, well, where do you start? If you're going to start reviewing apps, which one do you pick first? Well, the only sensible way to do that is to start with 365,000 health apps. So what we've done at ORCHA is we've built a data scraper which pulls in data from both the Apple App Store and Google Play on a week-to-week basis. What we then do with that data is, first of all, apply a did not qualify filter. And that did not qualify filter gets rid of any apps that haven't been updated in the last 18 months. If an app hasn't been updated, it will have data security compromises in there and data will be glitching. So we get rid of those apps, which actually is about 2/3 of the 365,000 health apps. And then the remaining about 120,000 apps, we then curate into 265 clinical condition areas. At that point, we put the apps in rank order from the highest downloaded app backwards. And what that ultimately gives us is a queuing system and an interesting helicopter view on a week-to-week basis of what apps are in what condition areas and which apps are being most downloaded by our populations. We then pick up the next app in the next condition area to process through the review engine. And it has to be an engine because it's highly complicated. There are about 2,500 standards, regulations and best practices that you could apply to a health app, but not all of those standards are relevant to all products. So the first thing we do is work out how complicated the app is and what risk the app has within it. Now, so I'll give you an example. At a very simple level, there's an app called Brush DJ, and it plays music for 2 minutes so you know how long to brush your teeth for. Quite a simple product, but highly effective. At the other end of the spectrum, you've got medical devices that might interoperate within clinical data sets. Completely different risks, completely different levels of complexity, and therefore the way in which we review those products is very different. So we find out how complicated the app is, what risks are in the app, and what functions and features the app has. A combination of those three things then creates a bespoke review process for the product that's in front of us. And what we then do is we then apply all the relevant standards, regulations and best practice around 4 key areas. The first is data security, the second is data privacy, the third is clinical validity, and the fourth is user experience. And actually all of those 4 areas are really important. Once we've gone through the process of applying all those regulations, we then contact the developer. And the reason we contact the developer is to tell them how well they have achieved in that application. If there are areas for improvement, and to be honest there always are because it's a very complicated landscape, we then provide an improvement report that tells the developer how to improve their product. And then to your point, apps continuously update and change. We want them to do that because they're responding to user need. So when this data scrape that I described earlier on happens on a week-to-week basis, if an app has updated in the last week and we've already reviewed it, we get a flag. If we get a flag for an app, we re-review the product. But obviously all the information that we've had from the review process is kept in a database. So we're not having to start the whole process again. So the re-review can be fairly efficient and fairly fast. The process of contacting the developer happens again, and obviously they can continue to iterate and improve, and we're following the innovation rather than them having to follow us. So I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I have been for around about 12 years. So I was 30 when I was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And at that point of diagnosis, it's quite scary, and actually what you need is quite a lot of education and information. Excuse me. At that point, I needed a product that helped me to learn about the condition I had. Now, 12 years later, I'm very well informed, very well educated, and what I now need is a product that helps me to manage my condition and see data dashboards so that I can work out why something's happening with my blood on a day-to-day basis. However, if you'd have given me the app that I use now, then it would have been too much. And so one of the things that we're always talking about is you need an ecosystem of health apps. One app will never meet everybody's needs, and it won't even meet one person's needs over a lifetime, because although your condition may maintain, your needs will change. And so what I've found very, very helpful from the world of digital health is the fact that one, it's available, two, I know which products to trust, and three, I'm able to find the right product for me at the right time in my condition. What's really interesting is older people are actually now found, the over 60s, have higher screen time than anybody else. And so it's a bit of a myth to say that older communities wouldn't be interested in digital health. The reality is that most over 60s are retired, so they have the time. They also have the incentive to consider their health. Equally, at the other end of the spectrum, young people all have phones, they're all massively engaging with digital, they just aren't yet aware of digital health. So what we see is that there's an application and a health app for everybody, whoever you are. The problem isn't, is there an app? The problem is there a good app, and which app is best for me? And that's why it's so important to be able to find a list of high quality products, and then to be able to search and filter according to your own personal preferences. Because say for example, I wanted to find an app for anxiety, and I download an app that's targeting teenagers or children. That's not going to be relevant for me, but equally an app that's for anxiety that would be for me would not be relevant to a teenager or a child. So it's really important that we match apps to the individual characteristics of the person who needs it. The biggest challenge, anybody working in digital health, is trust. How do you engender trust in your product or your service? So what we're trying to do is work with developers and innovators to be able to provide that independent review to build that trust, so that you can tell the NHS you have had an independent review which has scored your product as meeting the requirements that are needed. So I think HET's going to be an amazing event. I'm really excited to meet all the relevant people. I'm particularly excited about hosting the App Zone. The App Zone is going to be filled with high quality digital health solutions that people can come, see, meet, look at how those products and services are working, and hear from the innovators themselves.